Hey guys, it's me. Just want to give you a quick walkthrough on how to set up the PLC programming software RSLogix 500 Micro. It's cool because it's free and it lets us do all kinds of ladder logic programming, and we're going to get to run this stuff real time. So I'm going to walk you through extracting, installing, configuring all the software, and then setting up the most basic program in there and getting it running on the emulator, okay? So check it out. Here's my desktop. Don't look too close because I got some crazy stuff on there. And when you download the archive I provide, you've got this plc.rar right here, okay? And depending on how your computer's configured, maybe you just see PLC and you don't see the .rar because you don't have file extension viewing enabled. No problem, no sweat. Either way, you're going to need an extractor to get that out of there. WinRAR.com offers pretty much the best software for handling RAR archives. You can download it from WinRAR.com. Don't download it from somewhere else because who knows what you'll get. It might have a virus on it or something. But if you download from this site right here, WinRAR.com, you're going to get the real software, okay? So download it. You can install the trial and it's going to get this thing extracted for you. Once you're ready to extract it, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can right click and you've got options. You can open in WinRAR. Better yet, if you have the context menu enabled, you can go in here and you can tell it to extract and where to extract it to. Or you can just right click and drag on this icon and let it go somewhere next to it. WinRAR and extract here or extract to, and it'll create a new folder. Let's go with that option just for housekeeping. I don't want a bunch of files all over the place. And it kind of threw it down here on the bottom, so let me put it over here. And when I open up this folder, boom, I've got 3 files in here. I've got 2 zips and 1 executable file. And I'll tell you a secret, that executable file at the bottom is also a zip. It's just a self-extracting zip, so that's why it's showing up as an executable file. Anyway, I'm going to select all 3 of those, drag them over here with my right mouse button, WinRAR, and I'm going to extract each archive to a separate folder. And that's going to get all of my installations unpacked and ready to install, okay? So once I've got that, let's just start installing stuff. It really doesn't matter which one of these I install first. There's no particular order, but just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and start with RSLinx Classic, okay? So I've got the setup executable file here. I'm going to run that as administrator. Yes, please. And that's going to pop up at some time in the future, I assume, and it's going to go ahead and start installing. Okay, there we go. Let's take next. I accept, hit next again, and I'm not going to fill all of this in. I'm just going to hit next, and hit install. And that's it. This thing is running and popping up all kinds of different stuff, and it's disappearing automatically, and it's going to go through its whole routine. And depending on what kind of computer you've got, how much RAM you've got, what kind of disk you're working on, this may be a fast process, it may be a slow process, but as long as it's still running and it's not coughing up any errors, no problem. Just let it do its thing until it gets to the end and tells you everything's installed. So here we've got some more pop-ups happening, and it's loading all kinds of, who knows, drivers, back files. Don't even know what all that is, don't care. Okay, would I like to install this device software? Sure, why not? Don't really know what it is, don't really care what it is, but if it's asking to install it and it's part of this package, just at the risk of not wanting something to crap out on me later when I'm using this. I'm just going to go ahead and let it install whatever it feels like it wants to install. Okay, that's the pop-up we were looking for. I'm going to uncheck review release notes because I really don't care to see their release notes. And I'm going to finish. And done. Okay. Let's back up to our PLC folder where we extracted our installations. We've got RSLinx Classic installed already, so I'm going to go ahead and take on MicroLite. Right click on that setup, and I'm going to run that as administrator as well. And it's doing its thing. And here we go. Let's just take next. I'm going to accept the terms. Next. I'm not going to fill that out. I'm going to take a complete install and let it run. And this one won't take nearly as long as RSLinx did. By the way, I accelerated the installation of RSLinx in the video just because otherwise we would have been sitting here for a while. That takes about 10 minutes or so to install on my system, and my system's pretty fast. Anyway, we've got MicroLite installed. Now our last one is emulate. We're going to take that setup again and run that as administrator. Yes. And this is a little tiny program, so it'll install pretty quick. There we go. Next. I accept. Next, next, next. Install. And come on now, give it to me. Just a few seconds. And done. Don't know what that is. Don't care. Let's just click somewhere to close that out. And finish. Okay. Now that I've got everything installed, I can delete these off of my computer. I don't need them. Now, this next step may or may not be necessary for you, but I'm going to say let's go ahead and do this, all right? Just in case. It depends on the security settings on your Windows, but you might get all kinds of little error messages pop up whenever you try to run the software saying unable to update the registry and server errors and who knows what kind of things, because if you've got your security settings set kind of high, what will happen is Windows will basically block the software and not let it access the resources it needs to get the job done. And then you're going to be messaging me and emailing me and saying, Paul, oh my God, man, it's not working. So let's go ahead and do this optional step right here. We're going to set all three of these programs to always run as administrator. So I'm going to open up my computer, my C drive, program files x86, come down here to Rockwell Software, and I'm just going to go down the list and start with RSLinx. I'm going to scroll down to RSLinx.exe, right click on that and select Properties. I'm going to go into Compatibility, and I'm going to select Run this program as administrator. I'm going to apply it, hit OK. I'm going to go back up to Rockwell Software, and I'm going to go into the Emulate folder. And in this, we're looking for the WE032.exe. Same scenario, right-click Properties, Compatibility, and check Run this as administrator. Apply, OK. Go back to Rockwell Software, and we're going to open up Micro English. There's our rs500.exe. Right-click, Properties, Compatibility, Run this program as administrator, apply, OK. We can close out of there. Now we're ready to run this stuff and get it all set up and configured and get ourselves a program running. So in case you don't know how to launch programs on Windows, and believe it or not, people message me about this and tell me that they don't, we're going to come down here to the bottom left corner, click on the Start menu, take All Apps, go into there. We're going to scroll way on down here to the R's. That's where our Rockwell Software is. And you're going to see all kinds of programs in here that got installed that you're never going to know what they are. You're never going to need to know what they are. Doesn't matter what you're doing, you're probably never going to touch 80+% of those in your entire life. So the ones that we are worried about, we want this RSLinx Classic. So I'm going to right click that, more, and I'm just going to pin it to the taskbar for easy access. And I'm going to do the same thing for emulate, so I can get to that without coming in here all the time, and also RSLogix. And now down here I've got all three of those icons. First thing we want to start with is RSLinx. And that's going to pop up because I'm running this as administrator. And you see when I ran that, I've got this big blank empty screen, and I've got these three little icons right here, right? Well, I want this middle icon that says configure drivers. So I'm going to click that, and available driver types, I'm going to open that and see this SLC 500 emulator driver. That's the one I want to click on, add new, hit OK. Station number, I'm just going to leave that the way it is and hit OK. And there we go, it's running. Now that it's running, I can close this. And I'm just going to minimize RSLinx Classic, because at that point we've got that configured and it's ready to go. So next step, let's go ahead and create a very, very, very basic PLC program. So we're going to want to do that in RSLogix Micro. Hit yes. And now we've got a program that looks like it could do something, right? I'm just going to shrink this down a little bit so it's not so wide. And I'm going to click my new program icon. And I've got 5 options here. Now in the course, you're going to see me have a lot more options because I'm using a pro version of the software. Don't worry about that. This is going to get the job done of learning how to program and save you about $2,000 in the process. So be happy that you don't have the pro version and you don't need it. We're just going to take that top option, MicroLogix 1100 Series B, and hit OK. And you're not going to understand what I'm doing right now. It's not going to make sense to you. I'm just going to click on some things, and maybe you've got some familiarity with PLCs and ladder diagrams. Maybe you don't. That's why you're in this course, to get that familiarity. By the end of this course, you're going to understand everything you watch me do right now. But for right now, I'm just going to show you how to do this, and when you are able to do the same thing, that's just the computer's way of saying, hey, you're where you need to be, the software is all set up, you are good to go, okay? And once this lesson is over, you can close all this software down and just walk away, because honestly, I'm not going to tell you to program anything in this course. This software is here for your benefit. If you want to test out some of the logic that I'm teaching you and practice some things, you have the software, you have the means to do it. In the next course, in level 2, then you're going to have to use this software, and you're going to be cursing me by the end of that course because I'm going to throw a lot of really hard stuff at you. But for right now, the software is purely optional. And at the beginning, you're not going to know what to do with it. Don't worry. After this lesson, close it down. Wait till later. Once I've taught you a few instructions and you've seen me set up a couple of programs, then you're going to be able to go back and say, oh, my software is already ready. Let's go. Okay? But for right now, we're just getting it set up and we're going to walk away from it. Okay? So I've got these 2 panels right here. This is my Project Explorer on the left, and this is my Logic on the right. I want to make sure to highlight this one over here. And you see I've got some strange little symbols over here, right? Well, I'm going to take this one. When I hover over it, it says Examine If Closed. And I'm just going to click on that with my left mouse button. And now I have this strange symbol here with a box with a question mark on it, okay? Well, I can just go ahead and type, or I can double click on that question mark, and I'm going to type something that you need to type this pretty much exactly the way that I type it, okay? So that's going to be B3 colon 0 slash, that's a forward slash 0. So B3 colon 0 forward slash 0 and hit enter. All right. And it's going to pop up this, enter a description and a symbol and add. Don't worry about any of that. Just hit OK. We're done with that. All right. I'm going to come back over here to these symbols and I'm going to hover over the one that says output energized. And I'm going to click on that. Now, you see how that appeared over here on the right end of this line? If yours appeared anywhere else, just click on it and hit delete and make sure that you've got this box right here selected. See how I can click on different things and they'll turn different colors? I need to have this instruction selected so that the next time I create an instruction, it'll appear to the right. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that output energize, and I'm going to type something very similar here to replace that question mark as we did with the first instruction. But there's going to be one little thing different. This time it's going to be B3 colon 0 slash 1. Okay? So the first one was B300. This one's going to be B301. And just like that, we've got our first program. And this is a very simple, silly, useless program. But it's something that we're going to use just to test to make sure our software is working and configured correctly. Now that I've got that, I need to verify my logic and make sure I don't have any errors. So I'm going to come up here to Edit, and I'm going to take Verify Project. And when I click on that, you notice it cleaned up those little marks that I had right over here, okay? And it didn't pop up any messages except for down here at the bottom. It says Verify has completed, no errors found. That's exactly what we want. So at that, I'm going to come up here and click on the save icon, and I'm going to put that on my desktop, and it's called Untitled. That's fine with me. I'm just going to let it be called Untitled. I'm going to save it, and very important, I need to close RSLogix completely. So it's closed, and I'm just going to bring my program up here so you can see it. Now, next step, we're going to open Emulate. So click on that and hit yes. And we've got another big, pretty empty looking window here. And I'm going to come over here and click Open. I'm going to navigate up to my desktop, scroll down to find my actual PLC program, and hit Open. And I'm not going to change anything in here, but I am going to set a station number. So right now there's no station number in there. I'm just going to type a 1 and hit OK. And now that I've done that, my program is loaded into the emulator. If I come back to RSLinx, I don't have to do this for any reason, but if I come back in here and I click on this icon right here, RSWho, it's going to show me my emulate driver. And if I expand that, you see it says I've got a MicroLogix 100 program on station 1, and it's loaded up in there, okay? So that is letting me know that the program actually is loaded into Emulate and everything's good to go. Now I'm going to double click on my program. Now I can open RSLogix back up. And you're probably thinking, Paul, if you were going to open it right back up anyway, why did you close it? Trust me, a lot of times if you leave RSLogix open with your program loaded while you're loading your program into Emulate, the two won't want to communicate, they won't work well, it'll cause hiccups. So just trust the old bald guy when he tells you you're better off shutting down RSLogix before you load your program into Emulate and then open it back up, which I'm going to do by just double clicking on my program, hitting yes, and there we go. There's my program. I'm going to come up to the top here and click on Comms, and I'm going to click on Who Active Go Online. And when I do, I see something that looks very similar to what we were looking at in RSLinx a minute ago. So I'm going to expand my MU500 driver, and I'm going to click on, one time I'm just going to click on my RSLogix 1100, and I'm going to hit OK. And as soon as I do, all of a sudden over here it says we're in remote program mode, and we've got this icon spinning, this ladder spinning, which is telling us we're online, we're connected with something. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on that arrow next to remote program, and I'm going to put us in run mode. Are you sure you want to go into run mode? Yes, I'm sure. I'm a big boy. I know what I'm doing. And now it says we're in remote run, and things turned green over here. And okay, that's it. Not very exciting. I'm going to come over here to my first instruction, and I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to toggle the bit. And when I do that, you see what happens? I've got this little green highlight that appears on that instruction, and a green highlight appears over here on my output. Now, just like that, I have now simulated an input signal and an output from my logic, and that has confirmed that everything from top to bottom, Emulate, RSLinx, and RSLogix, are all installed correctly, configured correctly, and running and talking to each other the way they're supposed to. We can now do absolutely everything we want to do. Excellent. So at this point, I can really just close right out of RSLogix, not worried about saving it. You see here that I've got these keys over here. I've got run, halt, scan file, and I've got this, 1. So I'm not worried about TST and 1. I am worried about clicking halt. So I want to stop my program now. And if I just close Emulate, like I just hit the X and close it, when I open Emulate back up, you see how it's still got my untitled program loaded in here? That can cause a problem when I've got all kinds of different programs loaded in there. So what I want to do is come up here to File, Close, and now you see there's nothing in this toolbar. There's nothing to select. The drop down doesn't do anything. It's all disabled. Excellent. Now my program is properly unloaded from Emulate. Now I can close that, and now I can close RSLinx as well. I need to have this running while I'm trying to go online between RSLogix and Emulate. So this has to be open and running somewhere in the background. You don't have to do anything in this window, but this allows those other two programs to talk to each other. So if this is closed, those two can't communicate. But now that I'm done and everything's finished, I can exit and shut down. And just like that, we are all done with the software. Everything's extracted from the archive, installed, configured, set to run as administrator, tested. We've created a program, simulated it, and it did its job. So at this point, you are GTG 100% where you want to be. So that's it. Enjoy your software.